thanks all to you for coming to the Winneshiek Solar Fair. And we are broadcasting from my basement since we can't be in person. And so thanks for all you for bearing with us. We worked out these technical glitches. I want to first big thanks to all our sponsors and our contractors who were signed up to be today. We've got contact information for them on our website. So if you want to be installing solar, talk with our local solar installers about getting solar for your home or business. But also a big thanks to Decorah Bank and Trust, K-Bike, Wheeler College's Center for Sustainable Communities, West Union, City of West Union, as well as Impact and Citizens Climate Lobby. So for those of you that don't know, Winneshiek Energy District, our vision is 100% local, renewable, efficient energy by 2050. So that's our big goal of getting to using local, renewable energy to power our economy and to power all the work that we do. And as there are a number of energy districts across the state, we want to be able to replicate that vision with other counties so that they can experience the impacts of local economies coming from renewable energy as well. So quick things, just quick announcements. We do have an Earth Day celebration planned in partnership with Community Co-op. We'll see if that's happening in a month, but we'll have some electric vehicles there. We're working out details as we adjust to this new world we're living in. Another thing, we have typically hosted monthly energy breakfasts. They were in the basement of T-Box at 7:30 on the third Tuesdays. We'll probably still stick with those third Tuesdays, but if we're going to be doing things online, we might try to stream them over at lunch hour. Check out our newsletter for details. You can sign up to our newsletter at energydistrict.org, and we'll be providing information on those monthly energy conversations, formerly known as energy breakfasts, in our newsletter soon. So for solar, that's what you guys are here to talk about today. I just always start my conversations about solar with a quick reminder to remember efficiency first. It is usually cheaper to save energy than it is to produce it yourself. So if you can lower your bills by changing out light bulbs, you're going to be able to do that a lot more cost effectively than making your own energy from solar panels. So think about any efficiency improvements that you can make when you're sizing your solar system. If you're upgrading to LEDs, you might need a smaller sized solar system to meet your needs. If you've got an air conditioner that is pretty old, and you can maybe plan on undersizing your solar system to meet your current needs right now, because if you're going to upgrade that air conditioner in a little bit, you may have an opportunity to save and put in a smaller solar system now. So saving energy can lower the amount of solar that you need. Many people are wanting to make 100% of their own energy on site. So there's two ends of that equation you can deal with. Usually it's cheaper to save energy than it is to make it yourself. So keep that in mind. We've got a couple of programs that can help make that happen here at the Energy District. We're a host site of Green Isle AmeriCorps. We have 5 AmeriCorps members who are volunteering and spending a year of service with us at the Energy District. And a big thing that they're doing is typically going into people's homes and doing a blower door test and changing out light bulbs. They make these basic improvements, and so I charge $150 for that package, but it is free to seniors, veterans, low to moderate income households, and those with disabilities. Typically, they're seeing savings, on average savings of people that they're working with, about $100 or more a year. So that's a real big impact. It's a good deal, even if you're paying for it, but it's a great deal, of course, if it's for free. So that program has been discontinued their work within houses. They don't want to be in your space. And so, again, check out our website and sign up for our newsletter. We're going to be announcing soon how we're going to deal with that program in terms of kind of like a boxed up drop-off materials. We can leave things on your doorstep, and you can change out those energy improvements yourself. Mostly that's going to be lighting, but lighting does make a huge impact, especially if you still have old incandescent bulbs in your house. And so we'll have a way for you to count and inventory all the lights you have in your house and where those are located, and we'll make sure that we can drop off a box of light bulbs for you to make that upgrade. Another option is that I offer farm energy assessments, and this is in conjunction working with Natural Resource Conservation Service. Some people might know those as soil and water conservation districts. They're not exactly the same thing, but they work very closely together. If you've ever had EQIP funds for things like cover crops or terraces, EQIP also has an energy saving program, energy efficiency program. So they provide cost share for the energy assessments themselves, if that's something that you're interested in. And then they also provide cost share for lighting upgrades, grain dryers, lots of improvements to dairy equipment, heating systems, as well as insulation. The basic rule is that if the measure is cost effective, if it will save enough money to pay for itself in its expected useful lifetime, they will be able to provide cost share for it. The cost share is very good, especially on the lighting. And one of the great things is that it works, it can be paired with your utility rebates. So a lot of folks are seeing lighting improvements where the rebates from the utility company, as well as the cost share from EQIP, is almost to pay for the majority of the cost of the system. And so that's like a 0-year payback for a lot of those lighting upgrades. Everything else is a little bit longer, but the cost share is very good for grain dryers, for dairy equipment. Some of those might be including a variable speed drive for your either your milk transfer pump or your vacuum pump, heating and refrigeration measures to be getting a free heater for to heat your incoming water with waste heat from your compressors, which can help make those compressors run longer as well. So talk to your NRCS office about signing up for EQIP. You can sign up now, and we can get an energy assessment done this summer to meet your fall deadline for EQIP. There are REAP grants available for energy efficiency as well as renewable energy, but they require you to get an energy assessment. So the same energy assessment that you can get to qualify for EQIP can help you qualify for REAP. So back to solar, as I mentioned before, efficiency first. One of the things you want to think about is that a lot of utilities will have policies in place where you can only offset the amount of energy you use in a year. So you don't want to oversize your system, because basically you'll be making more energy than you're using, and you're basically giving that back to the utility. So you want to size to meet your needs, or if you want to be conservative, size about 90–95% of your expected electrical usage. All of these systems are grid connected. A lot of people have questions about storage, but right now storage is really pretty expensive, and because of utility policies of allowing net metering, it doesn't make a lot of sense unless you're really looking for some options in terms of backup. If you would be otherwise thinking about a generator, looking at batteries is a really good option, but if you're just looking at wanting to produce your own renewable energy, net metering and being connected to the grid will let you do that. So starting with energy efficiency, you can ask for a site assessment. The Energy District does offer a $200 solar site assessment that gives you just a third-party look at what your solar needs might be and an estimate on price and payback time. If you're interested in getting that, you can get in touch with me at energydistrict.org. You can give us a call. But contractors are also able to provide you quotes for a system that will include, of course, the real cost and a really good estimate on what that production is going to be. So we're talking about this is a big year. The tax credits are starting to phase out already, and so that's a big motivation for a lot of people. If you're thinking about solar now, it's time to get off the fence and really make it happen. So there's a 26% federal tax credit for solar that's installed in 2020. It declines to 22% in 2021, and then it goes away completely for residential customers. So businesses and farms can actually take advantage of a 10% tax credit after 2022, but that still is a really big drop. Couple things to keep in mind is that for residential systems, the system has to be installed and connected in the year that you're taking the tax credit. So if you want to get that 26% tax credit, you have to install your system in 2020, and it has to be connected to the utility so that paperwork can be done so you can file next spring for that tax credit. Businesses and farms have a little more leeway because those projects can be bigger and a little more complicated. If the project is started, there's some details you need to work out there, but in theory, if the project is started this year, you're able to take this year's tax credit. So that is a little bit of flexibility for businesses and farms that lets them kind of stretch that tax credit further. So just to give you some rough math at what we're thinking about here, this is just kind of assuming a typical residential size system with a good south-facing roof and not a lot of shade. So you can assume that for every kW of system, you're going to produce about 1,300 kilowatt hours. Cost about $250 per watt installed. That's a high-end estimate. I think that most contractors should be able to meet that for you. But for these math and these payback figures I'm giving you, I like to always talk about payback as a little bit higher so that you can come in and be impressed when the bid. And then just think about space. You know, per kW, you need about 100 square feet of roof space or yard space out there. So real basic figures to have out there to keep in mind. And we will post these slides and the presentation soon after we get this live stream done. So I talked a little bit before about net metering, but net metering is a key benefit that the utilities offer. All of our area utilities offer some form of net metering. Alliant offers a net metering where you can, we'll go into the details in a little bit, but net metering gives solar owners basically full retail value for energy that they export to the grid. So if you are paying 16 cents per kilowatt hour for your energy, any energy that you're going to be producing with solar is going to be worth to you 16 cents per kilowatt hour. What net metering also does is it allows you to produce extra in 1 month and roll that energy credit over to the next month. So a lot of folks are making more solar than they need, especially in the early summer and spring when we're getting almost peak sun, but we haven't kicked into cooling season yet. So you're able to carry over those energy credits, those kilowatt hours that you produced and you gave back to the utility during those spring months. And then during the summer or in the winter, those kilowatt hour credits are on your bill and you're able to draw those down. Now, Alliant and My Energy, formerly Hawkeye REC, both have an annual cash out period. So at the end of the year, if you've produced too much energy, they will not let you carry that over to the next calendar year. So that is the importance of sizing your system to meet your needs and not sizing larger than that. For any of you folks that are listening, possibly from the Allen Key Clayton REC area, they have net metering as well, but they cash out every month. So a lot of times it makes sense for you to be sizing your system to basically meet your April needs so that you're not giving energy back to them on some of those high solar months. And typically that for a home, that's going to produce about 70% of your annual electric needs. You can be more aggressive. You can always size your system a little bit bigger, but your payback will drop off if you're over that size threshold. So contractors are really good about knowing about these policies. You can always call the energy district to ask questions as well. So, and just how net metering works, when you're selling that energy back to the grid, if you're producing more solar than you're needing on your rooftop, that energy just goes back to the local's grid and it's going to be powering your neighbors' homes and businesses. And that's why it really is, it's a fair value in terms of setting that up as a retail price. You're basically able to sell that extra energy back to the utility at that retail price, so long as your system is sized to meet your current annual electric needs. So just to give you some example of a typical home size, the average home uses about 9,000 kilowatt hours a year. It's actually a little bit less than that, but that makes for real nice round numbers. That's going to cost in our area probably about $1,500, about $125 per month. So if we're going to size a system to meet that, one of the things we need to think about is how much we're going to use. So 6 kilowatt hours of solar will produce 7,800 kilowatt hours per year, or about just under 90% of this customer's annual usage. So again, keeping our numbers round and safe, these are great numbers to work with. keep in mind that, if you do have a limited space, you need about 100 square foot for each kW of solar. So again, looking at the 6 kW system, which is a small but really pretty typically sized residential system, it's going to cost about $15,000 before incentives, assuming that we're paying about $250 per watt installed. And this cost per watt number is a pretty good way to look at apples to apples comparison of your price. Your contractors, if you get multiple bids, might size you slightly different systems. So some of them might be bigger, a little bit bigger, and so it might cost a little more. Using a cost per watt is a great way to think about what you're getting. So again, with this same example, 6 kilowatt hour system costs about $15,000 a year. Costs about $15,000 up front before incentives, and it produces 7,800 kilowatt hours per year. Now the value of this is probably around 16 cents per kilowatt, so $1,200, $1,300 per year. Basically, this is a 12-year payback, not counting any incentives. And so this is a really big deal. It used to be that the cost was double, maybe triple this price that we're talking about. So the fact that we're already at a reasonable payback period is a really good thing to think about, even without incentives. The incentives will bring this down further, but consider that your panels have about a 25-year warranty. Depending on the rest of your system, the most of your system is going to be warranted for 25 years. Incentives, though. Incentives do make this even better. So the federal tax credit is 26% of the total cost through the end of this year. The Iowa tax credit is equal to half that federal credit. So looking at that upfront cost of $15,000, the federal tax credit takes about $4,000 off of it. The Iowa tax credit takes about $2,000. The cost after those tax credits is just over $9,000. So that's a big deal. And as we said before, the savings on the system is about $1,200, $1,300. So this brings this down to a 7.3 year payback. And just to give you a reminder of these tax credits that are going away, they don't wait. I kind of assume that the price is going to be basically the same next year as it is this year. If we make that assumption, the price might drop some, but it's not going to drop a ton. You can see that the tax credit drops some, and the Iowa tax credit drops with it. Your net cost is going to go up about $1,000, and so that adds, not quite a year to your payback time. So getting your system installed now instead of waiting until next year is a great deal. One of the things to consider is financing for your solar PV. You might not have $15,000 laying around, and most of us don't. And the thing to keep in mind as well is that federal tax credit, if you buy a system now, you're not going to get your federal tax credit until next spring. With the Iowa tax credits, the state legislature has put a cap on the amount of tax credits they will offer per year. $5 million a year is how much they will offer in tax credits, and if it's a first come, first served basis, basically this year's tax credits have already been used up by folks that have installed solar last year. So if you are looking again at that upfront expense of your solar system, your Iowa tax credit, which is 13% of your overall cost, you're not going to be getting that for almost 2 years. So financing is a great option to be used kind of both as a short-term loan till your tax credits come in place, and also as a longer-term loan as you are getting energy savings from over the system. But considering that, if you have a good site for solar, it's very possible that your payments on your loan, your principal plus your interest, could be less expensive than your energy savings. So we talk about a payback time of 7 years or of 8 years, but it's very possible if you've got a great site and you've got some down payment, you could be cash positive on day one. And so Decorah Bank and Trust, of course, is a sponsor of this, and so talk with them. They've done a lot of solar loans. You can, of course, talk with our other banks as well, but Decorah Bank and Trust has helped over has helped over 100 solar projects get financing, both large and small. So both their home mortgage folks and personal loan department and their ag and business lenders know about solar. And other banks are seeing as well that this is a really great safe loan because you can see the math working on the fact that you're actually saving. This is an investment that's going to save energy. And especially if your cash flow looks even better after the project than before, it's a pretty great loan possibility. So just to give a real life example to folks who are thinking about, well, you know, my yard is not that great. I don't have a south facing roof. My roof faces west or it faces east, or I've got a big tree that I don't know exactly what that's going to do to things, or worse, you know, I've got neighbors' trees. We talked about a 7-year payback for that kind of idealized site, but this is some real world examples showing the actual cost that I paid on my rooftop. My roof faces west, which is a slight loss in efficiency in terms of facing just directly south. I lose about 13% of what I could get out of those panels if I had them facing directly south. And I've got some really serious shading. I've got trees that in the morning are shading all of my roof. And so I expect about 25% additional losses from shading. So I put in a system that was about 25% bigger than that example system, 7 and 4 kW. It's 28 panels. And my expected production is a little less than that example we gave. Just over 6,000 kilowatt hours per year. I'm actually on track to beat that a little bit. These were my more pessimistic numbers when I was looking at them to kind of think about what my worst case scenario for payback time was. But the one thing that does make this look better is that my bid came in at about $220 per watt, which is a good deal less, probably more than 10% less than the figures that we used in that early example. I figured I had a 9-year payback when I was running the numbers to begin with. So just as a picture of my roof here, you can see there's two things to look at. One is this maple tree that has leafed out, and then the sycamore tree, which you can see there a little bit less clearly, but because it doesn't have leaves on it. So this is the peak of my roof. This is looking directly south. You can see that I do get some shade. I've also got some shade from the pine tree off the edge of the driveway there. And when I come out, or when your solar installers will come out, they'll use this in the lower right-hand corner of the screen here, this tool called the Solar Pathfinder. And so they can get on your roof or wherever it is that you're thinking about putting your solar, and they can see where the sun is going to be throughout the year, because we know the path the sun takes through the sky. And it has this little plastic bubble on it that projects down where the shading is coming from. So it's to be able to get a very good, accurate reading on where the shading is going to be on your site and how that's going to impact your energy production. So here's what this site looks like. This is looking at my home. These panels are facing west, so this is looking east. So again, you get a picture of those trees that are shading, not at noon, but in the morning they provide a lot of shade, and this pine tree does shade some in the evening, as you can see. So this is the array that's on the roof, and yeah, how's that doing? I've saved about $1,000 on my electric bills. So I'm still on track for a 9-year payback, and pretty happy about that. I was able to basically front some of the money for my tax credit that I'm getting back this year, but borrowed the rest. And my loan payments are about what I'm saving. So I'll be ahead on things after a while. And even though this is just to show that I really have a pretty poor site for solar with all that shading that I'm getting, but it's still able to make it work. Plus, I just feel really good about having solar on my house. I come home every day and park the car under the solar panels. It's pretty great. So just one reminder for any businesses or farms that are listening, businesses do have even better incentives to install solar. They have all the tax incentives that we talked about before. And again, as a reminder, right now that's 26% for the federal, 13% for the state. And but businesses as well are able to take 85% of the cost of the system as a business deduction. So it's possible to take that out over time if you'd like to spread your deduction over 5 or 7 years. But with the new tax law from a couple years ago, you are also able to take it all at once. So this is a great thing to keep in mind. We saw a lot of farmers do a lot of really aggressive depreciation schedules when corn prices were good. But spreading it out over the years might be a better option as well. So, but if you are assuming that you're in a 25% tax bracket, this depreciation benefit can offset about another 20% of system costs. And so that stacks on the value of the tax credits themselves and can knock that payback time by about a fifth as well. So we are going to try to do questions here, although we might not be able to due to some technical difficulties. This whole live streaming thing is all very new to me, but one of the things that I want to talk about is that I will be checking this video afterwards and chiming in. If you want to type in your comments there, you can also email me, joel@energydistrict.org, or give me a call, 563-380-7137. I do want to talk once again, thank our sponsors and especially our solar installers. Who we are not able to be in person today. So thanks to Mossman Construction and Solar, Decorah Electric, Blake Electric, Perry Novak Electric, and Eagle Point Solar. We're going to have contact information for all of those folks on our website. If you go to energydistrict.org, there's a resources tab, solar. We've got lots of information about solar there. You can also just go to energydistrict.org/solar to get directly to that page. Thank you all for joining with me. Thank you for dealing with our technical difficulties and sticking with us as we started late. We will have this video posted as well as the slides, and start asking questions in those comments, and I will see if I can get logged in and get back to you as soon as possible. So thanks again, and appreciate you all joining us.